Get ready for another deep and profound transformation as Pluto leaves the progressive sign of Aquarius and retrogrades back into the more traditional sign of Capricorn on Sunday, June 11th. Pluto will stay here for 6 more months, allowing us a chance to clean up the loose ends, release some leftover fears, and heal from the ordeals we've experienced during the previous periods of Pluto in Capricorn. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. I really appreciate that. And if you'd like to work with me, check out the links down below. I am currently running a Gemini season special. You can get 20% off your natal or solar return reading with the coupon codes that are listed in the description. So every Gemini gets a special price. Additionally, I create candles and oils that carry planetary magic energy within them. That involves carefully selecting the time and then crafting an object with the elements that are very supportive of the energy of that planet. So, for example, if you're born with the moon in Capricorn or Scorpio, I would highly recommend getting my Moonlit Trinity candle. It's pink, it smells delicious, and it was created when the moon was very powerful, exalted in the sign of Taurus, conjoining Venus. Similarly, for all of my Pisceans out there, people who are having tough Saturn transits right now, I would highly recommend getting Jupiter in Pisces candle. And anyone struggling with verbal expression or anyone kind of who feels that Mercury retrograde periods affect them the most, or if you're born with Mercury in Sagittarius or Pisces, highly recommend getting Mercury in Virgo candle. You can check out the full selection on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and you can book a reading there as well. So Pluto returns to Capricorn. Pluto in Capricorn is not brand new energy. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So pretty consistently for 15 years. We did get a preview of Pluto entering Aquarius between March 23rd and June 11th this year, introducing new topics. But Pluto comes back to Capricorn, suggesting that there's still some final touches, some finishing accords that we need to play out. This is not the final Pluto in Capricorn. We are going to get one more period in 2024, but then Pluto will ingress into Aquarius and stay there for 20 years. And this period lasts approximately 6 months. We get Pluto going into Capricorn on June 11th, and it stays in Capricorn until January 20th, 2024. So let's just talk about Pluto, because Pluto is worth talking. It's a very powerful planet that deals with hidden things and more subconscious things. We have more personal planets. It's anything, like from the sun until Saturn. They're more embodied, they're more visible. Like Mercury is literally your communication style, Venus is your aesthetics and your desires, while Pluto rules your subconscious. It rules more compulsive things a lot of times. So I really like looking and understanding Pluto through the lens of Hades, the god of the underworld, and his story with Persephone, where he fell in love with her so madly that he had to jump up from the underworld while she was hanging out in the beautiful fields, and he stole her and he brought her down into the underworld, and she had to suffer for a while. She wasn't happy with being taken away from her mother and her friends and just the sun, right? And she suffered for a while, but eventually she became the queen of the underworld. So the story of Persephone that is deeply intimate and closely connected to Pluto is the story of suffering and empowerment. And with it, a lot of times comes death and rebirth. That's what Pluto classically rules. It's connected to dying, the old part of us dying. It's not always literal death, even though Pluto can sometimes represent literal death, but it's more deep kind of transformations, and deep, very slow transformations, because Pluto moves very, very slowly. So it's not very rarely it's like a big bang, right? It's going to be like a slow simmer, which is what you would imagine if you are in the underworld and you are in hell, for example. Sometimes you may have to go through slow simmer. So a lot of times the story of Persephone involved trauma. It did involve a sudden change, but it's, you know, in that case. So sometimes Pluto can definitely bring up a sudden change, but a lot of times it slowly turns us and slowly transforms us. So trials, difficulties, death and rebirth. Pluto deals with karmic lessons, kind of deep messages that are a lot of times, you know, Plutonian transits can definitely be a part of your karmic journey in terms of rewriting your family history or breaking away from the pattern that your family is known for. So there's a lot of entanglements with Pluto and the lessons Pluto teaches us. Some of the heroes connected to Hades in Greco-Roman myth, and some of the heroes that have been connected to, you know, like some of the heroes that ventured into the underworld, I think can help us understand Pluto quite well as well. For example, Hercules was doing his labors as a means of penance, right? Hercules in Greco-Roman myth is known for the labors, but the labors don't necessarily come as a gift. They come as penance for the crime that Hercules committed. So Hercules completes his labors in the underworld, and then he ends up coming out freed. So it's a sense of penance, which also ties in with karma. But sometimes it's our karma, sometimes it's karma of our family, sometimes it's just repercussions for some things we've done, right? So there might also be an element to Pluto that deals with serving time or doing the hard work that is necessary in order to free ourselves. It's not even always part of like, oh, you did something wrong. A lot of times it's just the hard labor that is required to find freedom if you are living with less awareness, let's say. Pluto is just, I think, it's just so complex and holds so much. Another character that is connected to the underworld is Odysseus from the Iliad. And Odysseus ends up, his story is very interesting because Odysseus is really pretty much just trying to get home, but he has angered the god of the ocean, Poseidon, and Poseidon keeps throwing difficulties his way, killing his crew and throwing him off course. So the journey that should have taken a very short time ends up taking a lot longer. And so Odysseus ends up going to the underworld as a means of getting home. So the story of Odysseus is, Odysseus's connection to Hades is very much going down, going into the depth, into the darkness, facing shadows, which is what, it's very Plutonian in nature. Facing fears in order to get home, right? And home could be so many different things. For some people, home is a literal place. For others, it's family. For others, it's just inner sense of well-being. So definitely a lot of depth to Pluto, right? A lot of, I think there's definitely, some of the keywords are like slow, because it's not usually fast. Trauma, some kind of trauma, either it's quick or it's more slow. And then transformation, and transformation comes through dealing with trauma, right? And like you have a choice to deal with it, or you have a choice to shrug it off and not address it. But if you're willing to face the darkness, a lot of times you do have the power to come out free, like Hercules did while after completing his 12th labor, or how Odysseus did after venturing down. He went down to come back up. So Pluto is it's like a teacher, right? We know that Saturn is a teacher, we know that Jupiter is a sage, but Pluto definitely has that energy as well. So Pluto has been in Aquarius, and Aquarius is all about change. It's all about transformation. It's about technology. It's about revolution and new beginnings, inner new beginnings, outer new beginnings. Capricorn is the sign of tradition. Capricorn is the sign of structure, earth, and kind of solid things. So when Pluto comes back into Capricorn, interestingly enough, we may see some pushback or some regression in terms of progress that has been made. You know, there's a lot of talk right now about AI and Meta and robots and all of that kind of stuff. So as Pluto goes back to Capricorn, we may see laws kind of tightening around those topics, maybe taking a step back, kind of encouraging slow progress, because Capricorn, both Capricorn and Aquarius in traditional astrology are Saturn ruled signs, so they can both be skeptical and slow and steady, but I think Aquarius is, like I said, more progress oriented, and Capricorn is more focused on keeping things the way they were, or like working within the structure. So with Pluto returning to Capricorn on a collective level, we can definitely see structures tightening. We can also potentially see some changes around finances, because Capricorn is connected to money, you know, money, material, kind of structural things. We can also see some shadows connected to ambition and desire. Maybe when Pluto goes into Capricorn, hearing some scandals about financial topics or people abusing power, right? Like Me Too is classically a movement that has come out of Pluto in Capricorn. So hopefully nothing as dramatic, but there still might be some kind of financial movements and financial topics coming up. Another thing that I can potentially see happening, last time Pluto was in Aquarius, which would have been a really, really long time ago, basically late 1800s. Yeah, like last time between 1777 and 1798, we've had revolutions. We've had French and American Revolution. We've had monarchs were overthrown. So Pluto in Aquarius has a bit of that vibe as well. It has the energy of like changes to the masses, social justice, and just the transformation of the society in some regard, hopefully for the best. You know, it's really hard to say exactly what it's going to be like, but definitely kind of progress and transformation. And then when Pluto moves back into Capricorn, we can actually see people who are abusing the power, who are like in charge, trying to grasp it and trying to tighten their hold and increase control, increase some kind of guidelines and laws that help them maintain it. But this is more, it's like the final straw. It's the final kind of burst of control. With Pluto slowly but gradually moving towards Aquarius, it's not going to last. But, you know, they do have another chance and then one more in 2024 before Pluto permanently ingresses into Aquarius. So what does it mean on a personal level? On a personal level, Pluto going back into Capricorn could mean completing some kind of really long-term project that you've been working on. And that is as likely to be internal project as potentially an external project. It's interesting to see. I would definitely look back at how has your life changed since 2008 in regards to the topics that I will be talking about when I'm breaking this down for each rising sign. But yeah, completing a project, completing a chapter of growth could be very much internal, very much psychological change in terms of becoming, as in Capricorn, ruling boundaries. You can sort of start to, you know, maybe you finalize your own boundaries, maybe you clarify your own ambitions, maybe you release some unhealthy obsessions, things like that. A chance to heal from some of the difficulties that we have faced while Pluto was in Capricorn. I know I have. Pluto has been in my house of home and family, and it kind of started with me leaving home and, you know, dealing with immigration matters here and losing my dad, losing my grandparents. There's been a lot of difficulty, and so Pluto kind of dipping back into the house it has been for a while can be a chance to grieve, a chance to process, a chance to bid adieu. I think that's how you say it, bid adieu, to the person you once were, and perhaps hug and welcome the person you are right now. And finally, Pluto coming back to Capricorn this time and then again in 2024 can also be the time you get rewards for the hard work you've done, because anytime the planet exits a sign, it can definitely bring a chance to celebrate, right? And celebration could be literal, like something happens. If it's, for example, if you're a Sag rising and Pluto is completing its transit through your second house of money and values, maybe you get a financial bonus, maybe. But more likely than not is that the change that Pluto will bring will be more internal, right? It will be an opportunity to appreciate yourself, a chance to celebrate the new person you are, as mentioned before. So let's talk about all 12 signs and do like a quick rundown of what Pluto in Capricorn could be about. And please let me know in the comments below if you resonate with this, what kind of changes you have been through in regards to this topic. Any feedback is encouraged and always welcome. So if you are an Aries rising, Pluto is retrograding back into your 10th house. Pluto has been on and off, but mostly on in your 10th house since 2008. And 10th house deals with professional life. It deals with your career, your status, your reputation in the world. So since 2008, please share with me what kind of changes you have been through. You have likely been growing. You've been through a slow change when it comes to power, when it comes to dealing with authority figures. It could have started with you maybe being an employee, and maybe right now you're getting ready to start your own business, or you're getting ready to become a head of the organization. It's very much profound transition you have been through over the course of the last 15 years. And Pluto coming back into Capricorn for one more round could be very much about that. It could be about completing a project, completing a chapter of work in your life, and perhaps embracing your own authority, right? We had Jupiter being Aries early in this year, introducing opportunities for you to be a leader, and now Pluto coming back into your 10th house once again is very much feels like, are you acting like a leader? Are you fully happy with your status in the world? Is there more changes you can make and more fears you can release in terms of stepping up to the plate and welcoming your fullest potential and acting like the king of your own domain, right? How can you be more powerful and like release any fears that are holding you back? If you are a Taurus rising, Pluto is about to retrograde back into your 9th house. So if you're a Taurus rising, Pluto has been in your 9th house since 2008, changing topics connected to faith, religion, beliefs and ideals, travel, education, publishing, and writing. I lost count. And let me know, how has your life changed in those regards, in terms of education, in terms of writing, travel, or anything else I mentioned. Because Pluto would have slowly and gradually been changing your, most likely, I think, your attitude towards the world, your attitude towards yourself, your idea of self, right? You could have started out as someone who only wished about traveling, or who only dreamed about becoming a PhD. My philosophy professor in college said PhD means permanent head damage, which I think people who have PhDs are super smart. I think she had PhD, but it was funny that she would say that. So Pluto being in the 9th house could have been very much the time for you to trust your instincts, to not hesitate to take leaps, right? 9th house is the place of expansion. So maybe your view of yourself, your view of travel, your view of philosophy and religion has changed a lot, to a point that you left your home country, or you wrote a book, or you became a guru or a teacher, or you sort of took your knowledge to the next level, and now you are kind of entering the final stages of it, right? There might be more changes when it comes to travel, education, religion that you have to do before you're ready for Pluto and Aquarius, which is more about career. There might be certain beliefs you have to release and certain projects you have to complete when it comes to your worldview. Even potentially releasing certain outdated ideals that are holding you back could be the time here. So take a look at what you know, what you don't know, and be open to the world to surprise you. If you are a Gemini rising, Pluto returns into your 8th house. 8th house deals with debts, taxes, other people's resources, death, inheritance, transformations. Anytime we exchange energy with other people, we are in the domain of the 8th house. And Pluto has been here pretty much permanently since 2008. Let me know how has your life changed since then. But since 2008, Pluto has been making you look at your dependencies, at your agreements with other people, at your energetic exchanges, right? And perhaps calling you to cleanse those portals you have between you and other people. Maybe you've been releasing certain unhealthy dependencies. Maybe you've been doing a lot of work in therapy, opening yourself up to new ideas. But more likely than not, this could have been a period of true financial empowerment, or learning to stand on your own 2 feet, learning to figure out who you are, learning to separate yourself from people who are holding you back. It could also have been a period in which you've got in touch with more shamanic side of yourself. Maybe you've become more interested in astrology or tarot or kind of esoteric topics. So now as Pluto comes back to Capricorn, there might be final touches you have to do in terms of financial matters. Maybe there's some debts you still have to pay. Maybe there's some therapy you can do in order to release some of those people you have released in the past. Like, let's say you had a friendship that you've let go of, but you're still living with the memory of that person. Maybe you're still competing with them or observing them on social media. So the final transit of Pluto through Capricorn could be about letting go of some unhealthy dependencies, healing, or even taking your esoteric knowledge to the next level and embracing it and becoming a healer yourself, for example. And let me know how has your life changed since 2008. If you are a Cancer rising, Pluto returns into your 7th house. And 7th house is the domain of one-on-one relationships. Chances are, since 2008, since Pluto first went into Capricorn, you have gone through a lot of deep relationship work. And please share with me in the comments below, how has it been for you? What kind of changes you've experienced, what kind of dynamics you've outgrown and released, and what kind of relationship landmarks you've gone through. But Pluto being in the 7th house potentially introduced some intensity into your relationships, made you deal with passion, obsessions, difficulties when it comes to marriage, when it comes to romance, when it comes to business partnerships, and even friendships, potentially encouraging you to learn to set boundaries and to learn to put yourself first and to learn to choose better connections. So if you've experienced any of that, but you still feel like there's more growth you can do, and even if you don't feel like there's more growth you can do, Pluto will be the judge of that. But Pluto coming back into your 7th house could definitely be the time where you make the finishing touches, when you embrace your power. Maybe you say no to that final friend that is dragging you down. Maybe you have honest conversations. Maybe you could be lovely around this time to journal about the ideal person you want if you're single and looking to mingle. Could be a lovely period to work with a therapist or work with a coach, or even have honest kind of deep conversations with people in your life to express what you want and express how you want to be treated and how you want to treat them. If you are a Leo rising, Pluto is going back into your 6th house. And 6th house deals with the realm of service. It deals with work, labor of love, labor of passion, and health. I think I may have already said it, but I got distracted. And Pluto has been in your 6th house of work, health, and service since 2008. Potentially transforming your everyday life, right? Like making you look at your work life and decide that you no longer want to slave away, that you want to change your life, that you want to have a better dynamic, that maybe you want to do work that is more free, where the schedule is more flexible, or maybe you want to do work that pays better, right? So there could have been a lot of deep understanding and change when it comes to looking at the foundations of your life, the foundations of your work, the foundations of your well-being, how you take care of yourself. Perhaps even relationships with bosses that were a little bit more shadow and unhealthy, that called you to grow through them and put up better boundaries and kind of rethink the power dynamics and the division of labor between you and people you work with. So now as Pluto comes back into your 6th house, you're getting yet another chance to look at your dynamics with other people, with people you work with, your dynamics with people you're serving. If you are someone who has kids, for example, and kids are already grown up, but they still expect you to be there for them at any kind of moment they need you, there might be an opportunity to kind of clear some things up. There could be opportunities to rethink your schedule and rethink how you approach work, right? Like, are you dreaming for something, but then you keep loading yourself with work that doesn't allow space for finding a better job? And also just like embracing your power and focusing on your well-being and focusing on your health and how much more important that is. So choose yourself while this transit is happening and try to make changes that allow for better life, better flow in your life. So if you are a Virgo rising, Pluto is returning into your 5th house. Pluto has been in your 5th house on and off, mostly on, since 2008. And here Pluto is looking at your relationship with sex, at your relationship with love, children, and creativity, as well as any kind of self-expression. And this could be the time when you are finishing some kind of major creative project. Let me know how this period since 2008 has been for you in terms of love, creativity, romance, children. Because it could have been like very transformative in terms of coming in terms with your own passions, maybe exploring more, maybe kind of getting more in touch with your body and your sensual pleasures. Maybe you've become a parent and you've experienced some highs and lows through being a parent. Would really, really love to know, especially as someone who's a Libra rising, who's about to go into the depth of this transit. Any feedback you guys have could be very helpful. But it could be that you've connected with yourself a lot more through your creativity. Maybe you've learned to express yourself. Maybe you've learned to be unapologetically yourself. Maybe you've experimented in the bedroom and kind of explored the sides of yourself that you normally keep hidden. Creative projects can be coming to fruition around now, like mentioned before, because like I said, Pluto is coming back to another 6 months in your 5th house. So creative projects completing, kind of a big chapter of growth. If you've been wanting to be a writer, maybe now you become a writer and you get your first book or your 3rd book, but maybe you're kind of getting ready to announce to the world that you are now a creator, a writer, let's say. Maybe some kind of big project that connects you to children is coming to an end, like if you've been a kids teacher, for example. or a romantic relationship can be transforming. Pluto coming back to Capricorn could be a chance to kind of, speak up and clear up any issues connected to dating, put up any boundaries, any issues connected to creative partnerships, rethink what you want, rethink what your deal breakers are, talk to a therapist, kind of do couples counseling if needed be, but look at what else you need to do in order to have a healthier relationship with the person you love. If you are a Libra rising, my lovely Libra risings, Pluto comes back to your 4th house. And Pluto has been in your 4th house since 2008, creating a lot of transformations when it comes to home, family, living situation, and your inner sense of comfort and security. And if you are a Libra rising, please let me know, how has your life changed since 2008? So, I can share my personal experience. I did it, but to mention it again. I have moved to the US in 2007. I went to school here. I dealt with a lot of immigration kind of matters, getting visas, applying for a green card, dealing with a lot of... It took a long time to plant my roots, and they're very deep right now. I'm an American citizen, and I'm kind of comfortable with where I'm at. I feel the US feels like home, New York feels like home. So, and my relationship with my family transformed so much. I went from having both of my parents and my grandparents kind of alive and having my hometown in Russia to my grandparents passing away, my dad passing away, and the place I called home no longer exists in the same shape, and it's almost like the place I once was going to no longer exists. So if you've gone through any similar kind of transformations when it comes to what you call home, let me know. I would love to know. But it could have been a really deep change in terms of where you live. Maybe you've changed apartments a lot more. Maybe you've asserted yourself and stood up for yourself in front of family. My relationship with my mom transformed so much. And there's definitely been a lot of growth, I think. There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of shadows facing too. Because Pluto in the 4th house could make you look and find out some skeletons and find out some, you're digging deep. 4th house is foundational. You're digging deep, you're looking within, and you may kind of excavate some shadows, right? So maybe you've learned something about your family, you've learned something about childhood, or you've worked on healing some childhood patterns, right? And now as Pluto is coming back to your 4th house for another round, one before last, you're getting a chance to pat yourself on the back, to appreciate the growth you've been through, progress you've made. You may be healing from something. It's important to mourn the loss you've been through and maybe connect to a therapist and even have some kind of important conversations with family members. And perhaps for some of us, Pluto coming back to Capricorn could also be about getting rewards and getting some kind of, good karma when it comes to home, family, and maybe just learning. I think learning to feel more self-reliant and more independent and more kind of trusting of yourself could be one of the greatest gifts that Pluto in the 4th can give. If you are a Scorpio rising, Pluto is coming back into your 3rd house. And 3rd house deals with communication, your everyday life, your schedule, your siblings, your family that's not parents, but more aunts, uncles, siblings, all of that kind of stuff. And with Pluto being here since 2008, your everyday life has likely shifted a lot. Your relationships with people have changed a lot. The way you communicate could have transformed, and the way you assert yourself, the power dynamics with people could have shifted. And please share with me if they have. For example, you used to do everything for your siblings. You used to be someone they would call and ask for support, and you would always say yes. But maybe as Pluto is completing its transit through Capricorn and now comes back for another 6 months, you are learning to say no. You're learning to express that you have other goals and other needs, and you're learning to prioritize yourself. Maybe your approach to time management is changing and you're learning to organize your time and organize your day better. Maybe you've had an idea that you've been playing with and now you're getting ready to put it on paper and to turn it into a book. And so this final 6 months of Pluto being in Capricorn, not the final, we'll have a few more in 2024 to be precise. It's going to be until January 20th, and then between September 1st and November 19th. So September, October, November, and a little bit of January. So like 3.5 more months after this stint. Or yeah, like 2.5 months probably. September, October. Yeah. A little bit of math confusion. But yeah, we're sort of, it's like the finishing part of Pluto being in Capricorn. And like I said, maybe you've changed the way you organize yourself. Maybe you've changed how you speak to your family members. You learn to put boundaries in place, to speak up for yourself, to assert yourself in a healthy way. You may be completing a writing project, or maybe turning an idea into something solid is very likely here. And changing relationships with immediate family, right? But I can also see this as being transformative in terms of like running a business and expressing yourself differently, and like learning to trust your intuition, learning to be your better ally. If you are a Sagittarius rising, my lovely Sagittarius risings, Pluto returns into Capricorn, which is your second house of money and values. And Pluto has been here since 2008, bringing deep and profound changes to your sense of self-worth, to your idea of self, and to your relationship with money. And please share with me, how has your life changed in those regards since 2008? But some of the examples could be learning to believe in yourself, learning to speak up for yourself, learning to explore passions that make you happy. Perhaps it's a hobby, perhaps it's a business, perhaps it's some kind of talent, some kind of joy you have that you spoke up about. Can also have been a period of changing your relationship to money, right? Maybe your idea of how much you're worth has changed. Perhaps you've experienced a renewal. Perhaps you've grown and found Pluto in the second house can be very much like good for finding hidden riches. So finding a chance to make money through ways that are hidden and other people could not see them. It could actually be some spiritual matters through like healing type of work, through esoteric type of work. Your relationship to money has changed. But as Pluto still have a few more months left in Capricorn, maybe there's still final kind of finishing touches you have to make. Maybe there's still some kind of lack mentality or financial fears that you have to examine, that you have to kick to the curb. Maybe there's still some debts you have to pay or certain adjustments. So consulting a financial advisor, consulting therapist to talk about your fears when it comes to abundance, because Pluto in the second house is always fears, but it's also wonderful opportunities. So it's like opportunities to transform and change. And Pluto being in your second house could also be very much about another round of professional transformation, another round of asking for what you want, speaking up, asking for more pay, starting a business, and starting to believe in yourself more. You're doing a lot of growth, my lovely Sag risings. Do not shy away from the growth. If you are a Capricorn rising, Pluto is about to come back into your first house, and you've been through a lot. Pluto in the first is very, very personal. Since 2008, you've been going through inner transformations that have potentially resulted in outer transformations. Perhaps your look has changed, perhaps your style has changed, perhaps you've gotten tattoos and became a rocker, or started riding a bike because you've learned to, internally, maybe you've learned to be more comfortable in your own skin. And please share down below what kind of transformations you have gone through. But Pluto in the first house could have definitely been difficult at times, right? It could have brought losses. It could have brought pain and a need to release something, a need to shed your old skin, to be like, to burn in order to be reborn like a phoenix. So it's not always easy. You may have, you know, a Capricorn rising I'm friends with has lost her mom, has lost her brother, dealt with a lot of kind of personal shedding that ended up turning to be like shedding, losing actual people. So Pluto returning into Capricorn for the next 6 months could be very much about grieving the person you have lost, grieving or cleaning that old skin, right, that you have shed. Definitely could be the time to talk to your friends, to reach out to people who are going through trauma potentially as well, or maybe process your trauma through writing about it, through making it into a story, even if you don't publish that work, even if you don't turn it into a movie, but at least you are expressing it. Talking to a therapist, talking to a close friend can definitely help you grow. And Pluto coming back into your first house for the final few months can also be highly rewarding. It could be the time when you celebrate the person you've become and you see the gifts and the freedoms that you've been given. So it's not only challenges, there's also some beauty to it. If you are an Aqua rising, Pluto is coming back for 6.5 months to your 12th house. And Pluto has been in your 12th house pretty much since 2008, calling you to look at your blind spot, to look at the way you handle your mental health, to look at the way you rest and take care of yourself, and the way you deal with pain and trauma, and the way you deal with your family history or kind of difficult hidden topics that we choose not to look at. 12th house is very dark. Pluto is very dark, right? So Pluto being in your 12th house since 2008 could have made it feel like you can no longer hide away from the darkness. And please let me know what kind of changes you have gone through since 2008. How has your life changed? Hopefully, on the positive level, right? Pluto could have encouraged you to face the shadows, maybe through therapy, maybe through astrology, maybe through spirituality, Reiki, tarot. It could have called you to get in touch with the darkness and heal, to maybe also learn to rest better, to take better care of yourself, to prioritize your mental health. It could have also been the time in which you couldn't shy away or you couldn't hide from the need to express a certain part of yourself. Like if there is a gift or a talent you have, Pluto would have raised the volume of that and made it impossible to ignore. So Pluto in the 12th house could have also been about that. And now that Pluto comes back into your 12th house for 6 more months, this is your opportunity to embrace all the changes you have been through, but also potentially heal and release some of the outdated patterns. If there's still certain fears, if there's still certain connections to the past, things that are holding you back, things that are holding you in one place. Maybe it's even, it could be people, it could be old relationships that are dragging you down that you're just too fearful to release. So Pluto's gift to you would be an opportunity to believe in yourself and to believe in your power and your independence and let go of anything or anyone that no longer serves you. Finally, if you are a Pisces rising, Pluto is going into your 11th house. 11th house is the place of hopes and dreams and wishes for the future. It's also the place of friendships, the place of society. It's the place of really large groups of people. So with Pluto being in your 11th house since 2008, your relationships could have changed. Your friendships could have transformed significantly. Even having a strong desire to be influential in the collective, or to understand how everything is working, to kind of be more crucial when it comes to working with groups of people. It could have been a symptom of Pluto in the 11th house. And now, as Pluto is completing its transit through your 11th house and actually is coming back for another round, you're getting one of the final two, because we have another round in 2024, you get one of the final two opportunities to look at your role in the collective and at your friendships, and either release some of outdated connections or welcome new ones. Redefine your place, right? Like, it's up to you to figure out who you want to be. If you feel, my boyfriend keeps like saying that, why can't we all just get together and figure out what's the purpose of it all? Or like, where is this collective, where are we going? So if you have these kind of musings, and you kind of ask all these deep questions, it's up to you to come up with an answer. It's up to you to decide your role, or it's up to you to actually get people together, right? So with this final accord, you can be figuring out your relationship with people, your role in the world, and perhaps embracing a more powerful role. But initially there could still be, or like not initially, actually, there still could be some boundaries you have to set, some people you have to release, and some more cleansing you have to do. But Pluto could also be, as it leaves your 11th house, it could definitely be the time when your dreams come true. If something you've been dreaming about since 2008, and please let me know what has happened in your life since 2008. Maybe one of those dreams comes full circle and you see the culmination of it. But definitely, I think it's about you and the collective and your role in the collective. So this is it. We have looked at Pluto returning into Capricorn. I hope it was insightful and helpful and interesting for all of you guys. Definitely share with me your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading those comments. And I'll talk to you very soon. Have a great week. Bye.